This topic's a near and dear to my heart. It really is. This is something that I've thought of since I was a little kid. This is something that I've put into motion ever since I've been a teenager, even before my teenage years. It's in my DNA. It's deep in my DNA. It's just who I am. And it's something that as I got older, I realized how intelligent it was and how smart it was and how it has projected me and pushed me to the levels that I'm at. And I didn't know, I couldn't put into words. Let me take a little side conversation of that. When you start to get good at something, you can just do it, but you can't explain it. You're just like, oh my God, I just know to do this way. And you always get the right answer. If you're in sales, all of a sudden you're making lots of sales and you go, oh, how are you so good at sales? You can't explain it. At some point in time, you get so good that you can explain it and teach it to others. I truly believe when you cross that bridge, that's when you've mastered something. That's when you truly master the art of something, when you can explain how to repeat the steps. What I'm talking about today is something I can finally articulate, explain to you, and hopefully you're going to use it in some part of your lives, some little parts of your lives. It is, I made it moments. That's what I've called it. I've made it moments. These are little goals that you're going to put into yourself that make your life better, enriches your life, or just flat out brings a smile to your face every single time you do it. These are the I made it moments. And I started super, super young. I have always seen myself as a skinny little scrawny kid. It's how I am. People call it body dysmorphia or whatever that terminology is. I really don't know what it's called, but I'm sure I've got it. If somebody were to textbook and Freud me out, I'm sure I have it. I'm just always see myself as skinny, and I always like to work out, and I always like to get bigger and get stronger. When I was 13, I wanted to get a weight set for my house. My parents are not workout people. My dad used to bicycle all the time, but he's not a workout person. My mom's not a workout person. They just don't. They're not gym people. But for whatever reason, I got that in my head that I want to be in the gym and I want to work out all the time. And so I wanted to save up to get a gym set. And so I started selling my parents tomatoes in little green baskets out on the corner lot because my parents had a good sized garden. I could sell these little cherry tomatoes. I could sell them for $1 a piece and $1 a piece. Well, back then a gym set at like Big Five was $25 for the curl bar and a couple weights. And I saved up for a month and a half and I mowed lawns and I did all this and I got the weight set. And after I got the weight set, then I started working out and I started feeling better about myself. I started feeling about the better person in the mirror, but I never, ever really got the diet till I was in my late 30s. So I hate to say this, as much as I worked out for the first 20 years of my life, it really didn't do that much. I was super strong, but I didn't look it because I didn't know how to diet. I didn't realize that diet's like 70%, something I learned late in my 30s. But that first I made it moment was I had a gym and I didn't have to drive somewhere to go work out. I could do it in my house. Remember, this is the 90s. This was not, you can work out with your own weight and your bodies and do all those cool things. And everybody has apps. The phones didn't exist back then. It was literally Arnold Schwarzenegger style of working out. You either grab a weight and you lift it and you move it, or you didn't work out. Like those were your only two choices. But I got that first. I made a moment that I had a gym in my house and I could work out whenever I wanted to. I just had to walk out in the garage. If I had 10 minutes to spare, that's a workout. If I had 20 minutes, that's a workout. I couldn't go, oh, I only have 10 minutes. That's, let's drive there and drive back. There's my 10. I don't have time for this. I literally could just walk outside. So that was my first I made it moment. My second I made it moment was when I was 23 years old and closed on my first house. It was a condo in Rancho San Diego. I think it was 700 square feet. It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo. And I closed on that when I was 23 years old. And I also got married 2 months earlier. And I had finished college a month before that. So inside of 3 months, I finished college, I got married, bought a house. Nobody in my realm, none of my friends, none of my people, none of my peers, nobody around me even remotely was in this category. And I had a huge I made it moment that the money that I was spending was going towards me and my investment. It wasn't going to some landlord and hanging out. I made it moment when I was 23. My second I made it moment when I was 24. I bought my second pack of beer. I bought a 6-pack of beer when I was like 19, but I was 24 and I bought my second pack of beer. How many people at 21 were buying so much alcohol and going to the clubs and going out and partying? I was saving every penny I could to buy that house. And then that house owned me. Let's not lie. That house was so expensive that it owned me. I didn't own the house. That I had to go to work and had to get overtime and had to have 2 jobs to pay for that house. But I had it. And then one day I had enough money left over after looking at all my finances. I'm like, I can spend $7 for a 6-pack of beer. I can do this. And I actually bought a 6-pack of beer. I waited, 21 to 24, 25. I waited 4.5 years to buy a 6-pack of beer. That's what it took. Those are I made it moments that make it worthwhile to put your nose at the grindstone and drive through and keep doing what you're doing. If you guys don't see results in the first week or 2 weeks and you give up, I have zero sympathy for you. You're weak. You're mentally weak. That's what you are. You're mentally weak. If you're mentally strong, you can put that goal, that little tiny goal, just set it out there and strive for it day in and day out for weeks, months, sometimes even years to get to that I made it moment and to have that accomplishment of what you did. And those ladder rungs. Now everybody hears that, the ladder of success and that the rungs are shorter. You can climb more steps than the big rungs. Yeah, maybe putting a goal 5 years out there is a pretty big ladder rung step. That's kind of crazy. But you can have little ones in between. So here are some of my little I made it moments. Call me a pansy on this one. I'll give you that one. I might have to get my man card up for this, but I hate putting my shoes on with my finger. I hate putting my finger in the back of the heel and sliding my heel through and dragging the skin off my finger. Drives me up the wall. I bought a shoehorn and I wanted to find a little bench so I could put my shoes on. A little I made it moment. I have a shoehorn and that's how I put my shoes on. I've had it since I've been 24 years old. It was something that I wanted. It took me about a month to save up for the shoehorn and the little bench. I did that. I bought it. And now when I sit down, it's very comfortable for me to put my shoes on. I made it moments. That I made it moment to buy a shoehorn might be the dumbest thing on your list and you're never going to want it. That's fine. Make up your own I made it moments. You don't need to use mine. Find your own. But you guys should be making I made it moments every month, every 6 months, every year to feel that accomplishment, to feel that push, to feel like, hey, I achieved this. Achieving something overnight is not an accomplishment. It's just not. You didn't strive for it. You didn't work for it. You didn't have to sacrifice something for something else. When you sacrifice something for your goal, if you're going to work to get that 6-minute mile time and you sacrifice not drinking or not doing anything that puts in your body but healthy stuff, and your diet changes, and you're going to say no to the fried food, you're going to say yes to the chicken, and you're going to do all the healthy things to get to that 6-minute mile, you are sacrificing what you're putting in your body and the fun and the good flavors in your mouth just to get to that. That's an accomplishment. That's something. That's a push. Once I got my condo, my next I made it moment was trying to get a house that didn't have a number or a letter after it. Because the condo was 3627A. And you could just tell you lived in a multifamily complex. And I said, I want a standalone house. I moved when I was 26 to my second home, and it had its own address. Another I made it moment. I was like, cool. I'm finally getting there. We're going there. And it was ironically a duplex. So I call it cheating because it was a duplex. It still had a shared wall, but it had an address that didn't have an A or a number next to it. So it was kind of a half win for me. At 28, bought my third house. And that was the first time I was a standalone, single family residence, all by itself, its own address, everything there. And that was the next I made it moment. I love business. I love business. I love working on businesses. I love growing business. I love talking to people and how they can expand their business. I love when they go into new sectors of the market that I've never even heard or talked about. I just met a guy about a month ago and he rents out charter planes. I just started talking to him on Instagram. I'm hoping to have him on the show here recently in the upcoming months. Fascinating guy, but he's in renting charter planes. So he's talking to 1% of the world. 99% of us can't even afford that. I can't afford that. I'm not going to rent $30,000 for a plane, but yet he's making a great business out of that. That's so fascinating to me. That's so cool. I can't wait to talk to him about this. And how do you get into it? How does it work? And what's going on? And what people and clients does he meet and how many become friends? Because if you meet 5 of my friends, I'll exactly show you where your future is. You guys have all heard that saying. Show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. If you can make friends like that, you're going places. So talk about a cool business with a bunch of I made it moments built into it. That I can't wait to talk to him about that. It's going to be amazing. Very excited about that. but I always wanted to start my own business from scratch. Could I do it? I had to prove to myself that I could do it. SquareCoil, my software company, was the first company that I had that was from scratch, from ground up, day one, day zero, did not exist. I opened up the first business. I got my first business license. Everything was a first with me at the helm, doing it, pushing through, getting it done. And SquareCoil is 10 years old, 7-figure revenue streaming company, does very well for itself. We are not at the one. You guys always hear that 0 to 1, 0 to 1% of the market share. That's I've made it if you get 1%. We're just almost at 1%. God, we're nipping at it. We're going to get it this year coming up. Or maybe not 2023, but definitely 24. We'll get at that 1%. So that company is a living, breathing machine that's on its own. It doesn't need any catering, doesn't need any care to it. It can function on its own and rock on. I was able to do that. It's a huge I made it moment. I was able to create a business and create a solution to other companies based on what I like to do. My question to you guys is, what is your next I made it moment coming up on your agenda? How far until you're going to reach that? Do you even have one? If you don't have one, I need you to give me a 1 month, 6 month, and a 1 year I made it moments. If you listen to the last podcast, I talked about what happened at the house, but I love the sound of water. When I go on vacation, which is very slim, I don't like to go on vacation, it has to be water. It has to be an ocean of some kind. I love water. I have a 14-foot wide, 7 or 8 foot tall waterfall. And it sounds like a waterfall. It doesn't sound like somebody peeing. It sounds like a legit waterfall. I love it. That's an I made it moment that just happened 2 weeks ago. I actually have a full waterfall. I can go out there. I can read a book. I can turn on a waterfall and de-stress and just listen to the beautiful sounds of nature and de-stress. That's an I made it moment. Took me 44 years to get to that I made it moment. Didn't know I wanted it until 2 years ago, but I realized what it was. And 2 years ago, I set that I made it moment. I got it 2 weeks ago. My next I made it moment is to move SquareCoil in its own facility. Yes, we got the building, but the TIs aren't done. We haven't moved yet. We haven't established there. We actually don't have our own address. We're still renting from another company. That hasn't happened yet, but that next I made it moment is probably going to be in 4 or 5 months when we actually can get to move in. Your guys' I made it moments have to be special to you because you've accomplished something. It's going to make you feel proud. Right here, makes you feel proud of who you are and what's going on, right in your chest, right in your soul. That's what I'm looking for when I say I made it moments. That's how I want you guys to put your head down and think about those. That's how you're going to strive in life. And I talked about a lot of material things here because that's what drives me. I like material things around me. It likes my life being easier. That does not have to be your accomplishments. Go see an artist that you've never seen before, but you love and listen to their music all the time. Go find a relationship with a good person that understands you and you can talk to them. There are so many different versions of I made it moments. It doesn't have to be material things like I pointed out in my world, my journey. That's me. You guys can have your own. But if you have your accomplishments, I think your dopamine levels and your happiness levels and all that are going to go up. And I think in the end of the day, just be a happier person. So do me a favor, follow us on YouTube and the AC Method. I would like to see your comments. What are your I made it moments? Which ones have you accomplished? And I want to hear which ones have you not accomplished? And maybe even how can I help? Talk to you then.